Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our Mindset and Motivation Monday show. One of my absolute favorite shows of the week to record for you, but also one of my favorite topics here today that I'll be presenting. So what I would like to share with you today is one of the biggest philosophies I've looked at in my life and those of my private wellness clients. And I want to share with you exactly how we go through this particular transformation. What it will allow you to do is also assess where you're at right now, but understand two things: how far you've come and then how far still you have to go, but in a much more positive light. It will allow you a little bit more space to breathe in order to develop into the person you were always meant to be. I'm going to share with you right now. So I personally view life, I view my life, and I try to share this with as many people as possible, as an open book, that we are literally writing the story of our life each day in, each day out. Meaning, how did we start that day? How did we end that day? With the understanding that all of these days that we are stacking together in life ultimately become our book, the book of our life. And we have to begin to look at that book, reread it, saying, how have we done to this point so far in our life? Where did we go astray? How can we get back on track? If things were going well at one point, how can we get more of that? How can we get back to that rather than always looking back towards the past? And I want to share with you some of those examples here today. But I also want you to do this just a little bit differently. I want you to think about your life as a 100-chapter book. So right now you might be 34 years old, 45 years old, 65 years old, 83 years old, however old you are. Let's look at this book as 100 chapters. Let's look at each year of our life as one of those chapters, okay? Many pages within that particular chapter. Some days, more action has taken place, more steps forward or steps back have taken place. That's okay. What I want you to think about right now is, let's say that you're 42 years old. Okay, 42 chapters of your book have already been written. Here's the thing. We can't go back on those, okay? Those have already been written. That's not a bad thing. What I want you to do is review those chapters. They're going to give you insight into what matters the most to you. Because how you look back on those chapters and you say, I wish this was different. I wish that was different. I wish that didn't happen. That is okay. It is actually good to look at those things, because if you do it with a gentle heart and open mind, you can begin to say, okay, the things that I'm most upset about mean the most to me. So start to dissect that a little bit more, and you will find the things that hold the most meaning to you. Maybe you disappointed someone. Well, you know how much value that person has in your life. Maybe you didn't get that job you wanted, or whatever it might be. You know how much you value that type of work. So I want you to simply go back, think about those things. We'll talk about dwelling in just a moment, but also realize you have so much more to go. But here's the biggest thing I want to ask you is that, who has been, up to this point, writing your story? Has it been you? Or has it been many different outside influences that have made up your 42, 43 chapters, whatever it might be, to this point in your life? I want you to think about that, because so often we allow other people to write our story for us. Our parents dictating what we will do, who we will grow up to be, whatever it might be. Our friends pushing us in one direction or another. Our career forcing us down a career path that maybe we don't necessarily want, but maybe we can't back out now because of the income, the money, the career for our family, whatever it might be. I simply want you to begin to think about how much of the story you are writing yourself. I just know for myself, and I look back and I get to do this, I get to assess. My birthday is not for a couple months, but when I look at it, and I do this every single year, I begin to understand more. I certainly say, okay, good, childhood was good. I looked at all those different things. Sure, I wasn't, well, there was other things happening that were really outside of my control. I was just a child, right? I didn't know right from wrong. I didn't know the career path or the right path, that I should be on. But here's the thing. Ages 15 to 25, there's a marked point in my life that I just knew, maybe even at the time, that I was lost, that I was really astray. I really was. I didn't know what I wanted to be, who I wanted to be as a person. I didn't know the direction that I should be moving in. And anytime you don't know the direction you should be moving in, I'm telling you right now, you're not writing your own story. You're not, because you don't have a clear vision or plan for what those future chapters should look like. And I'm not sure that many people do, as a teenager in early 20s, but it's at least something to explore, because if you have children, you might want to help them develop this. Not tell them where they should be going, not tell them who they are, but allow them to explore and say, you have options. You have the ability to be able to write that story. Now, again, things are always harder in the beginning, right? As you start to get started with anything in life, there are more obstacles to overcome because there is less knowledge. That's okay. With experience and time comes that knowledge of how you can begin to then develop your life. So when I turned 25, 26 years old, it didn't happen all at once. I had been working that path from about 17, 18 years old, finding out more about me, finding out more about what I liked, who I wanted to be around, who I didn't want to be around, the books I wanted to read and study, rather than just the knowledge that the university was giving me. That didn't mean that I wanted to memorize all these different things. Sure, I did it because that was part of the process, going to school. But once I was able to realize that I can set my own path, I can move into a career that I truly love and not just do this work because it's for the sake of doing the work, that I can actually do it to better myself and to help hopefully better others. That to me, began to change everything. And once that happened, I felt a lot more sense of control. It didn't mean that I had all this money or anything like that. That wasn't it at all. But what it allowed me to do is say, okay, this is the path I believe that I should be going down. Once that happened, I actually opened my first health location in about 2007 or so. I developed my first real team. I met my mentor. I finally got fully well. I found my answers. My wife and I got married a year later. It was a lot happening at that point. That was a big turning point for me. If you look back the previous 10 years, not so great. Really moving from job to job, career to career, all within the health-based space, but not necessarily knowing where I was going to land. And my health was always up and down, and I couldn't figure out why I would get well, and then all of a sudden I would relapse, and then I would start to get well again, and then I would relapse. And I'm just saying, what's going on? What's that final piece that I'm missing? And I figured that out. I found that. But that is because I took direct action to saying, I don't want my life to be like this anymore. That's a big point as well. If the story right now in your life is moving in a direction that you don't like it, at some point you have to say, I don't like how things are going right now. You can't pretend, right? Non-negotiables, right? Setting up non-negotiables. This is not okay with me. That's what I said to myself. This is not okay. Now, I wasn't able to change it right away. We are not always able to, right? We don't always have that type of control, that type of means, whatever it might be. But eventually I was, because I worked the path. And I want to say this to you, that I'm no different. I don't have any magical talents or powers or anything that would say, oh, okay, well, he was able to do that because he has X, Y, and Z. It's just not the truth. That is not the truth. And please don't use that as an excuse for anyone you see that have already accomplished their goals. It just means that they're just a little further ahead in the book than you. That's all that it means, and it doesn't matter the age. I work with people that are in their 80s. I work with kids. So again, the earlier you can learn this, the better, but it doesn't matter. That's okay. I learned it more in my 20s. Some people learn it as a child. Some people don't learn it, discover it until their 40s or 50s. It does not matter. What matters is that at some point you decide to say, this life is not exactly what I thought it would be. It's not where I want it to be. Or there's a lot of good parts, but some of these things they need to change because I don't want this to be the story of my life. So I'm going to share with you one more story, and then I want to talk with you about how do we develop this book? How do we write the next chapter in your book? So I'm currently working with a private wellness client right now, someone that I've known from the past. It came back to me and said, hey, this is what's going on. And so we reconnected. I was chatting with them for a while, and they're dealing with some really debilitating skin issues. And this has happened over about the last year or so. So we ran labs and we went through the specific protocols, right? So we looked at the gut issues, we looked at heavy metals and all the other issues that it could be developing these skin rashes. Why is their immune system imbalanced? Because they're overall a healthy individual. So we went about, we had to correct some minor things with the gut, seal up the gut, we reran the labs, everything's good. Hormones are good, heavy metals are good, they're good. So from a physical standpoint, they're good, yet the skin rash remains. And this has only happened a couple other times in my practice. And again, I had a feeling right from the beginning this was going to be the case, but I didn't know. And that's why we had to test these hypotheses, right? So that's what I felt like, okay, there are two ways to get well, and you really need both. You can't just do one, there's always two. But some people need the other side to the equation much more than the physical. Okay, and this is really, really important. I've only seen this in a couple cases, skin rashes, psoriasis being a big one, and the other with just overall bloating and indigestion, because we correct things, there's no doubt about it. But what happens is this, that the mind, and I would actually say the nervous system, is far more powerful in overriding any other system of the body. Meaning if the body believes, so the subconscious, the collective nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, if it believes it is in a fight or flight, survival, stress-based situation, the best foods in the world, sleep, any of those things, they really go out the window. They do, because nothing is stronger. There is nothing stronger than the human mind and emotion of survival. So this person really has been quite stressed since the pandemic. And I don't blame them. I mean, who is not stressed about it? There's no doubt about that. But the problem is that they've internalized the stress to such a high degree that they are one with that stress, that they are owning the stress. It has literally become a part of them, and they feel they are a victim of now the pandemic, because here's the reason why. Because the life that they had previous to this was pretty much the life that they wanted. The life they have now due to the pandemic is not the life that they want. So they have this loss of control. They have this fear of the future because they don't know what the future will bring. More of the same, or could things go back to the past? The problem is this, is that it is okay to think about the past. It is okay to reminisce about the past. It's okay to learn from the past. But we live in the present. We live in the present, always moving towards the future. So let me repeat that. We live in the present, always moving towards the future, which means you have to have a future plan. All the people who only live in the present for the present, that's fine. The problem is you'll drift because you don't have an end destination. So the end destination does not have to be the end of your life. It can simply be, what's the next chapter? That's all, the next chapter. I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't have a 10-year plan, but I know what the next year is going to and hopefully will bring, and I work towards that. This person, since they can't see how to get back to the previous life that they had, is living in the past. And that is really, really doing a number on their immune system, their hormones, and their overall psyche. So the body is acting out with chronic inflammation, chronic digestive issues that are not able to be fixed by good food, nutritional supplements alone. Those are great. You need the other part. I had to realize this myself in my early 20s, that I was one of the biggest reasons why I wasn't healing, because I had all of this stress. And just like this person that I'm talking about, I said, well, I'll be happy and I won't be stressed anymore when I'm well again. That's what I said. That was the deal I made with the world, with the universe, with God, with everyone out there. It's like, okay, I'll be happy. I will serve others. I will do all of this once I'm well. Well, that's not how things work. That is not how things work. It might be nice if that's how things work, but it's not. You get to be happy, and you get to be stress-free, and you get to be well again when you decide. So that's the thing, is like, it's not, and I know that this can seem almost unfair, but there is no one bringing it to you. No one's bringing it to you. Now, here's the good news though, is that you can go out and get it. And you can literally start at any time. So I've mentioned this many times in the past. Someone has the plan for you. I provide the gut healing protocols, hormone protocols, omega-3s, like whatever it is you need. No doubt about it, we can provide that. And we even share with you the mental side to it. But it's much easier oftentimes to implement the physical. My diet, my exercise, my stress reduction, my toxin removal, my rest, my emotional balance, right? We'll talk about that in just a second. Supplement protocols. And I can teach you about the success mindset. That's all part of my de-stress protocol. And it works 99 plus times out of 100. And it's not difficult to implement. But there are many people, and you might be one of them, and you hold yourself back with the great amount of stress that you carry with you. And if you're saying to yourself, I'll be happy when, the chances are that's going to be way, way off in the future. Because someone can provide you with a plan. Someone can help you even with the mindset part of it, but you have to be the one to implement it. You are the one who decides how to frame your vision for life. You're the one who decides when you're going to be happy. And I know that you want certain things to happen in order to be happy, but that's not how the way that life works. You begin to say, I'll be happy now. I'll be happy now. I choose to be happy now for myself, for others, for my family, whatever it might be. And because I choose to be happy now, I'm going to move in a direction, regardless of the past, regardless of even what the future may bring. I'm going to work on these things now. By simply saying I'm going to work on these things now, I'm going to work to a happier future, all of a sudden, life begins to change for you. Did any of the external outside circumstances change? Probably not, but you changed internally. And this person that I spoke to, and I do believe that they are getting, because I just spoke to them literally last week, so that's why this is a pertinent topic. I do believe that they are going to get back on track quickly. I know them from the past. I have all of my notes. I know who they are deep down. And when I spoke to them months ago, before we started all of these different plans and labs, they were a shell of them former self. Like that's basically it. That's the best way for me to put it. When I first spoke to this person, they were already great. We were just tweaking and doing things like this. This person, how I describe as a high performer, literally like a warrior. They had the mindset that they were going to take care of everyone around them, and they did. Even from when they were younger, I heard the stories. Okay, this is what I did. This is what I was able to overcome. Here's all the people that I helped. And it was absolutely amazing. And now they've lost that spirit. They've lost the ability to say, I am the one who is in control of my life. I am the one who's going to set things right. Regardless of the outside world, I'm going to make sure that I am there for myself and for all those people around me. I'm telling you right now, you have to be there for you. You have to be there for you. Because as I spoke about on last Mindset and Motivation Monday, is that people want to be there for you, but they also need to be there for themselves. There's 168 hours in a week. Even if you're talking with someone for an hour a week, you're still with you for the other 167. So that means it is always about you keeping yourself on track. And I know it sounds maybe a little bit selfish or from the ego there, but it's not. Because the better you are, the better you show up for everyone else in your life. That's the bottom line. If you have energy, if you have strength in spirit, you're going to be able to help and lift up so many other people. I've gotten down a couple times over this past year as well. There's no doubt about it. But I've realized that that is not serving me or anyone else. And again, don't get me wrong. You take your time when you're feeling down. Like there's nothing, like feel those emotions. Don't bury them. I'm not saying that at all. But at the end of the day, what I found, at least for me, and I hope maybe for you, is that by digging deeper to realize that I've already overcome these things, like 15 years old to 25, 26 years old, I've already overcome those. This is another obstacle. I can overcome this. I can do it with help of others, and I can help others at the same time, because we don't have to go it alone. We simply need to understand is that we have the strength to be able to move forward. And so that now can be the chapter, right? The next chapter in this book can be those next 12 months. And that's how I look at it. That's how I really see things. And that means that, hey, you have 12 months. You don't need to sprint to the finish line. You don't. But what you need to do is get started. You need to get started on writing that next chapter. So how do you do it? Well, the first thing is this. You have to visualize. You have to set a goal for what actually that should look like. And remember, you have to suspend disbelief. Stop thinking you have to have all the answers. You don't. Stop even saying you don't know how you would ever get to that end goal. You don't have to know. If you already knew, you would already have done it. You're never going to know yet. What you're going to do is understand that there is an end goal that you want for you. Don't worry about if it's the end goal for anybody else. All that matters is that that's what speaks to you. Okay? It might take a few months, it might take a few years, but here's the nice thing. If you know you are working towards a passion, purposeful direction in your life, you're automatically going to start to be happier. When you're not working for any worthy ideal, you are always going to feel a little bit more depressed, to feel down. What does that feel like? Well, it's no energy, lethargy, no ambition, no drive, stuck in the mud. And you don't want that. You don't want to be that for yourself, and you don't want to be for anybody else. But the problem is, every day your chapter is being written. And you don't want chapter after chapter to go by in your life being stuck in one space. What will that look like when you read your book 10 years from now, 20 years from now, or at the end of your life? You want to understand is that everyone has to go through obstacles. This could be a big one for you right now. But in the end, those people that live their best life end up pushing through those obstacles, and oftentimes they become an even better version of themselves. It's simply what I try to work towards every single year in my life, understanding that I am flawed like most people. I have bad days like most people, but what I want to do is to build myself up as much as possible so that I always have even more to give. That's how I look at it, is I need to build myself up so I have more to give, more to pass on. And so that's the thing for you, is like, you might not want to even build you up for you, but do it for others. The more you have, the more you can give. And that can just be from energy, from time, from whatever is your passion, your pursuit. You can do more of that. But you have to understand is that this book is being written every single day of your life. Think about that. Understand it. Realize that we've all had hardships in our life, some more than others, but it can change. So I want you to do this. Visualize what it is you want your life to be, just for the next year or two. That's it. Just start with the short term, right? What it is that your life looks like, visualize it, then journal it. Begin to actually write the next chapter in your life. Literally write the book of your life. Journal it, then begin to take action. That is what the universe is ultimately looking for. You visualize what you want. You write it down with pen to paper, and then you take action. As you begin to take action, everything begins to unfold for you. The universe will provide. It will show you the next step. It will bring you the mentor. It will show you the career path. It will bring you into the right relationship, whatever it is, but you have to go into it with the right energy. Become the type of person you need to be in order to write this next chapter. Hopefully today's show was helpful, and as always, if it was, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Thanks so much for tuning into the show. And before you go, I want to make sure you do not miss this. To date, this is absolutely, I would say, the craziest offer that we've been able to bring you from our integrative health practice over at Equa.life. And that is a free functional medicine lab test for you, for one of your family members, for your loved ones, anyone that you would like. This is a test valued at $300. This is a functional medicine lab, the functional medicine lab that I first used now over 20 years ago in order to figure out what was going on with my health. And that is the minerals and metals test. It is a simple hair mineral analysis. A few snips of hair sent to the lab allows you to look at your mineral levels and heavy metal levels to a much greater degree. We will assess your electrolytes, your energy levels, your stress levels, your body's ability to use chromium for good, healthy levels of blood sugar, your selenium for healthy levels of thyroid, your phosphorus for bone health, for muscle health, for recovery, for energy. We also look at lead. We look at iron. We look at mercury. We look at aluminum. We look at arsenic. We look at cadmium. We make sure that you have proper levels of the healthy minerals that you should have in electrolytes, and that your levels of aluminum and mercury and lead and others are not too high. This is an absolutely amazing foundational functional medicine lab test that I can't recommend enough. And the reason we are giving it away is that we just understand that people who know more about their health are better to take action. They're better to take daily actions in their life that are going to help them get to the bottom of their wellness, their weight loss, or their anti-aging issues. That's the truth. When you start to see on paper your data, not anybody else's, but you, what do your levels of calcium and magnesium look like? What do your levels of sodium, potassium look like? What do your levels of chromium look like? How about selenium? What about zinc to copper? Everybody's saying that you need more zinc in order to boost your immune system. Well, this lab will let you know what your levels of zinc are actually looking like. So it's an absolutely phenomenal test used for children, used for adults, children over 3, and adults of any age. Again, this is the very first lab that I used to get into functional medicine when I was a teenager, and now I have the privilege of offering it to people today. So we are only giving away 250 of these, and they are absolutely free. There's literally no catch. The only catch is that they're on any purchase over $149, but that's not really a catch. It's using any of the protocols, any of the products, any other labs that you would like to purchase, and we are giving you a $299 functional medicine lab completely for free. I want to introduce people to functional medicine if they've never had a functional medicine lab test run before, but also remember, you get a call with one of my certified health coaches, and then you also get a plan to go about rebalancing the underlying root causes that might be causing you the health issues you're dealing with today. So please take advantage of this. This is a one-time only offer, and it is going on right now while supplies last. Check it out over at equi.life. That's EQUI.LIFE. Really enjoy this offer. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of me trying to give away as much as I can to people. But again, this is a one-time only offer. Good for the first 250 orders over $149 at EQUI.LIFE. Check it out for all the details.